breakfast as we get the Teapot week going. Welcome to First Presbyterian Church. On behalf of the officers, members of our church, we're happy to have each of you here. We're excited today that we can come together around the prayer breakfast to help get our week started. And what a privilege it is to have our men in blue and red. Actually, I think they may be gray today. So we're honoring you guys and gals and thank you for your service to our community. It's a privilege to have you here today. We're continuing to be excited that Food Right sponsors this meal each and every year. And all of the proceeds from today's meal go to the Trenton Ministerial Alliance. And the Trenton Ministerial Alliance helps with utility bills for people in our community who are in need. So we welcome you today. We hope that things go well. We welcome Miss Tennessee and some of our other royalties that are here today. Just outside the hallway in the little alcove on the right, there are restrooms. And if there's anything that you need while you're here, see me or any of the members of this church. We're tickled to have you today. All right? Let's have a word of prayer and then we'll turn you loose and let you get to eat. Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we are thankful today that we can live in Trenton, Tennessee, a wonderful community. Time that, Lord, each year that we can set aside a Teapot week. And we thank you, Lord, for those who work so hard behind the scenes to make this week so wonderful. We thank you, Lord, for all those who've gone before us, who have laid a good foundation. And we thank you especially for the food that we are about to receive and for the help in the kitchen and for the work that they always do. We thank you, O Father, for our service people, the men and women who help protect us and keep us safe in our community. And we thank you for every blessing of life. And we ask now that you guide us and hold us in the palm of your hand and make us aware of your presence today. And we thank you again in Christ's name. Amen.
Thank you again to Food Right for donating the food for the prayer breakfast today. It's great. Thank you again. And I want to give a shout out to our wonderful chefs, Bubba, Betty, Bill, and Sarah. They are so faithful to do this every year. They're up sometime, I don't know exactly, I didn't know there was time on the clock that early, but they're up here doing a great job. Rick, Mayor, could you stand up? Ricky Jackson, Mayor of our town. We're recognizing you today. Thank you for all you do. Our firemen, police, thank you all again. We're glad to see all you today. And before I introduce Miss Tennessee, we have some of our Teapot royalty here. They got up early to come join us today. If y'all would just stand up and wave real quick. We're so glad to have Miss Tennessee here today. Her resume is quite lengthy and very impressive, but in light of time, I'm just going to hit a few highlights. She serves as Governor Haslam's official spokesperson for character education, travels miles and miles and miles all over the state to speak of her character education track responsibility. I think that's awesome. She's Tennessee Goodwill Ambassador for 5 Children Miracle Network hospitals across the state. She's a senior at the University of Tennessee at Martin, and this impressed me, I must say, pursuing a Bachelor of Science degree in chemistry with a minor in psychology. That's great. And she was the first Miss Tennessee to win America's Choice at the Miss America pageant. She is the first Miss Tennessee to be recognized by a separate panel of judges as the first runner-up to the National Quality of Life Award for her work with the Arthritis Foundation. Very impressive, and we're so glad to have you today. Come on up, Miss Tennessee, Hannah Robinson.
Good morning. Is everybody awake? Yeah? Wonderful breakfast. It was delicious. Breakfast has always been my favorite meal of the day. My dad always joked that he wasn't allowed to wake me up for school before breakfast was ready because I would wake up and go straight to the breakfast table. So luckily I made it here this morning. I woke up, got ready, drove about 45 minutes before I ate breakfast. I'm so glad I waited because it was delicious. But I'm excited to be here. I'm originally from Paris, Tennessee, and my dad grew up in Gleason, and I go to school at UT Martin. So I've been born and raised in West Tennessee, stayed here for school. I noticed some familiar faces, some family, people that come down to the lake. I live near Paris Landing State Park, so a lot of familiar faces this morning. So first of all, thank you for having me. But what I want to speak about this morning is kind of what the Miss Tennessee and Miss America organization is about. Because a lot of people don't really understand what Miss America is. They think it's just a beauty pageant. But I really want to talk about the 4 cornerstones of Miss America and being Miss Tennessee. And those are the 4 points on my crown, actually. So some of you might not know that every state title holder has the same exact crown. And Miss America also has a crown that's a little bigger than this, but it looks the same, and that there are 4 points. And each point stands for an S. So our crown stands for the 4 S's. They stand for style, success, scholarship, and service. And style, a lot of people, kind of assume, which some of you might assume, that style means how I fix my hair, what dress I have on, what kind of shoes I have on. But that's not what Miss America's style is about. The unique thing about Miss America is that they want you to bring your own personal brand, your own originality and uniqueness to the title. Because I try to tell students, if Miss Tennessee came to your school every single year and she looked the exact same and she said the exact same things, that wouldn't be exciting anymore. If Miss Tennessee came to this breakfast every year, which I think I'm the 3rd, and said the same exact thing, it'd be pretty boring. It's early, you guys might fall asleep, right? And so that's what Miss America's about, being unique and original. And I tried to do that this year. So a couple of unique things about me are that I'm the first Miss Tennessee in 7 years to be a brunette. I don't know if you knew that. We had a lot of blondes. We had a blonde streak for a long time. I am the first Miss Tennessee in 14 years to play the piano. So don't worry, I won't sing for you this morning. You're welcome. No one wants to hear that. It's pretty pitiful. But I will be playing the piano for you once I'm done speaking. But something else unique that I've got to do this year as Miss Tennessee is promote STEM education. I do work for Governor Bill Haslam this year. I'm the spokesperson for character education. And when I go into schools, I promote science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And that's important to me because, like was mentioned earlier, I am a chemistry major, so I'm a huge science nerd. I try to tell the students that whenever I'm not Miss Tennessee and I don't have a full face of makeup on and high heels, you can normally find me with no makeup on, huge safety goggles, and a big white lab coat, because I'm constantly in the chemistry lab. But something unique that I've gotten to do this year is see the different STEM programs that are being implemented in Tennessee schools. And it has been so incredible to get to share my love for science and the importance of furthering your education in science, technology, engineering, and math. But Miss America believes that through being unique and original and bringing your own style to your title and your job, you can be successful. And so that's what the first 2 points of the crown that are sometimes misunderstood. But I really want to focus on scholarship and service. Scholarship was a huge reason that I became a part of the Miss America and Miss Tennessee organizations. Because some of you might not know that Miss America is the leading provider of scholarships for women in the world. And through competing at Miss Tennessee for 2 years and competing at Miss America, I have earned over $46,000 in college scholarship money. Trust me, my dad's super pumped about that. I am so excited that I will not be graduating from college with any debt. So although in 2 months, I will no longer have the incredible car sponsor that I have, Chuck Gray Chevrolet of Humboldt, Tennessee. And that's unfortunate because I don't own a vehicle right now. So unfortunately that money doesn't go to get me a new car, but what's great about that money is it goes to student loans, which I had. It goes to the current schooling that I will go back to finish up my undergraduate degree in the fall. And I'll even have leftover scholarship money to go and get my master's degree and go to graduate school. And so it's because of the Miss Tennessee organization and the Miss America organization that I will get to graduate college completely debt-free. And I won't have that debt on my shoulders when I'm searching for a job or trying to go to graduate school and trying to make ends meet on my own. And I basically owe it to Miss Tennessee and Miss America for allowing me to do that because I wasn't on a full ride to school. I did have loans that I was going to have to pay back. And so that's a really big part of why I wanted to get involved with Miss Tennessee and Miss America. But my favorite point of the crown is definitely service. And once I realized what the job of Miss Tennessee was, the service point of the Miss Tennessee crown is why I wanted the job. And I think I have 3 really important service aspects of my job. One of those is to be Governor Haslam's spokesperson for character education. So I end up traveling over 80,000 miles this year, and I speak to over 50,000 students. So I speak anywhere from 3 to 6 school assemblies a day normally. It is festival season, and so I'm getting to be a part of a lot of festivals just like this great one. And so my schools have slowed down a little bit for the next few weeks. But normally I speak anywhere from 3 to 6 school assemblies a day, and I hold 30-minute school assemblies. And I get to talk about the different types of responsibility that students have, whether it's their responsibility to give back to their community, get involved in community service, the responsibility they have to their education, the responsibility they have to respect their teachers, their classmates, their parents, guardians, and the responsibility they have to respect themselves. And I can tell you the very first day I went to schools, I had a speech tailored to like middle schools, elementary schools, and then I had a different speech tailored for high schoolers. High schoolers are tough. They know you're not a princess. You're not very cool anymore to them. They're wondering why you're like 4 years older than them and preaching at them about responsibility. And so I had something different to say to them to try to keep them engaged. And I remember going to a middle school first and a high school second that day. And I remember the woman that was escorting me that day told me that she wished I would have used the high school speech at the middle school. And I was super confused. The main difference was that in high schools, I talked about the responsibility that we have with social media and cell phones. And when I got a cell phone, I was in 9th grade. And so I thought, okay, I'll talk about cell phones to high schoolers. Little did I know, sure enough, the next middle school I went to, all of these 4th, 5th, and 6th graders were raising their hands that they had cell phones. Now, I didn't mean to be like oblivious, but I'm the youngest person in my entire family. I now have a new baby cousin, but she's like a few weeks old, so she doesn't count. But I didn't know any better. I didn't have little cousins or younger siblings to know that people were getting cell phones that young. And so I talk about the responsibility those children have to respect others and respect themselves through cell phones, through the internet, and through social media, which I think is a huge problem today. And so the fact that Miss Tennessee gets the opportunity to positively influence that many children is one of the reasons that I wanted the job. But the second large service portion of my job is to be Tennessee's Goodwill Ambassador for all 5 Children's Miracle Network hospitals in the state. We have 3 hospitals in East Tennessee, 1 in Middle Tennessee, and 1 in West Tennessee. And I've got to visit all of them. I got to visit all of them before I won Miss Tennessee, and then I got to visit all of them as Miss Tennessee. And normally, like I said, Miss Tennessee's been a singer the past 14 years. So normally she goes in and sings to the children. But like I said, no one wants to hear that. So some Miss Tennessees take crafts. I'm also not super crafty. So I had to come up with something to do with kids when I went to visit them. And the only thing I could think of that I was really good at, because it's kind of hard to haul a piano that large on your back, walking through the halls of the hospital, or loading it in your car, pretty impossible. And so I decided I would take science experiments into the hospitals. And so all 5 Children's Miracle Network hospitals, I have brought my STEM day at CNN, and if the children are up to it, they come to the playroom and conduct a science experiment with me. And then if they're not feeling well enough that day, I can put the experiment on a cart and roll it into their bedroom and conduct it at their bedside, which has been really awesome. And I remember specifically at Erlanger Children's Hospital in Chattanooga, there was a little boy named Victor. He was 8 years old, and he wasn't from the US. He was here for treatment for his illness. And luckily his mom was there because he didn't speak English. And she spoke a little bit of English, so she could kind of translate. But I can remember going in, has anyone ever mixed cornstarch with water? Anybody? Really? A few people? Okay, I didn't see any hands, so I got scared for a second. If you haven't, you should try it, just don't put it down the drain. But when you mix cornstarch with water, it makes something called a non-Newtonian liquid. I'm not going to get into the science stuff because you really will fall asleep. But it makes something similar to quicksand or Play-Doh, and it's something that the kids can get their hands in, get messy, and take their mind off of being in the hospital. And I can remember Victor's mom translating what Victor was talking about, because the doctor had come in earlier and mentioned that he didn't have to do his hand exercises that night. And so I was super confused. I just assumed something was wrong with his hands. Maybe that was part of his illness. But he had to do hand exercises every morning and every night to prevent arthritis from setting in. Now, most people think that arthritis is a grandparent's disease, but there's over 100 diseases that fall under the arthritis umbrella. And this little 8-year-old boy was so sick and had been in the hospital for so long that he had to do hand exercises to prevent himself from getting another illness. But he said that he was so excited I came that day because that took the place of his board hand exercises where I'm sure he was doing this or like stretching his fingers. He got to play and learn about science. And so the day that I took a science experiment, me being a chemistry nerd, into a Children's Miracle Network hospital and got to promote STEM education and also prevent arthritis from setting into a little 8-year-old boy, was the day I realized that's why I want to be Miss Tennessee. And the thing that some of you might not catch is that my personal platform is the Arthritis Foundation. And so that's really awesome that all 3 of those things kind of came together, because as soon as I won Miss Tennessee and my directors realized that arthritis was my platform, we were kind of thinking, okay, when you go to Miss America, how are you going to package yourself? How does arthritis fit in with Children's Miracle Network? And we found it. And not only 1 in 5 adults in the country have arthritis, but 300,000 children in our country have arthritis. And recently I got the unique opportunity to travel to Washington, D.C. and lobby Tennessee's representatives and senators about arthritis legislation. And that's something else unique that I've got to do as Miss Tennessee that otherwise I would not have been able to do. And so that's a little bit about my job. So Miss Tennessee is definitely more than a crown and putting makeup on and fixing your hair very early in the morning every day. It's a service job. And another thing that I love so much about this organization is they look past just bringing your own uniqueness. They want to find someone with a servant's heart. And they want to find someone who really cares about furthering their education. And so that's what this organization is about. Thank you for having me this morning. I think I'm going to actually end with performing a little piano piece. I told the head table earlier. I hope I don't butcher it. Like I said, it's a little hard to pack a piano into my very small Chevy Cruze. Doesn't quite fit with all my suitcases for the 3 weeks I'm going to be away from home and all my luggage. So not much practice time, but we're going to do it. It's going to be great. And don't judge me if I make a couple mistakes.
Paul asked me if I would close on behalf of the ministerial acts in prayer. So would you join me with a word of prayer? Almighty God, we thank you for this opportunity to gather together today. And we thank you for these amazing words we have heard on the value of education. We ask that you would be with Miss Tennessee, that you would protect her and guide her as she travels, that you would open the minds and the hearts of the children to the importance of learning, to the importance and the value of science and math and all of these other wonderful skills. Guide us and protect us as we go from here and lead us into your glorious light. Be with our men and women who protect our community, and be with us all during this Teapot Festival week, to the glory of your Son, Jesus Christ, who lives and reigns with you and the Holy Spirit, one God, now